Not every love story has a happy ending. Sometimes the person you love wears a mask. Sometimes the perfect romance is a perfect scam. But if you trust your instincts, think strategically, and refuse to be a victim, you can turn the tables. The best revenge isn't violence, it's justice. Trust your instincts, but trust your intelligence more. The best weapon against deception isn't emotion, it's strategy. A smart woman doesn't just react to betrayal, she plans for justice.
Imagine this. It's 2:17 a.m. in a quiet corner of Maitama, Abuja. The city is asleep, but one phone screen glows like a betrayal in the dark. Ifeoma's fingers tremble as she scrolls through the WhatsApp chat that just popped up from an unknown number labeled simply Truth Teller. The messages aren't long, but they hit like a slap from someone she trusted most. "See wetin your sister they do behind your back," the first text reads, followed by screenshot after screenshot. Hearts, laughs, promises, photos of Chidima in a hotel room mirror selfie, wearing nothing but a silk robe that Ifeoma recognizes because it's the one she bought for her honeymoon. And there, in the background, the unmistakable tattoo on a man's arm, her husband's arm. Ifeoma doesn't scream, she doesn't cry, not yet. She just sits on the edge of her king-sized bed in their Asokoro mansion, the air conditioner humming softly like it knows a secret too. The room smells of her signature lavender diffuser, the one she uses to calm clients during high-stress makeup sessions. But right now, calm feels like a distant memory. Let me take you back a little, because every storm has a beginning, and this one started years ago in a modest 2-bedroom flat in Gwarimpa. Ifeoma and Chidima grew up as the only girls in a family of 5, daughters of a civil servant father who believed in hard work above all else, and a mother who sold akara by the roadside to keep the lights on. Ifeoma, the elder by 4 years, was the one who always carried the load. She woke up at 5 a.m. to help Mama fry bean cakes before school, tutored neighbors' children for extra cash, and dreamed big even when the electricity went off for days. Chidima was the baby, the pretty one with the dimples that made aunties pinch her cheeks and call her fine girl. She was sharp, yes, but she never liked the grind. While Ifeoma mixed her first batch of shea buttercream in their tiny kitchen at age 19, selling small jars to classmates, Chidima rolled her eyes and said, "Why suffer when you can just look good and let life come to you?" But life didn't come easy for anyone in that house. When their father lost his job during one of those government reshuffles, Ifeoma dropped out of university midway through her business administration degree to start Ifeoma Glow, a small beauty line she ran from the veranda. She sourced ingredients from local markets, raw shea, neem, turmeric, and experimented until her skin treatments became the talk of the estate. Word spread, customers lined up. By 25, she had a tiny shop in Huse Market. That's when she met Emeka. Emeka was different, a software engineer with a quiet strength. He didn't mind that their first date was at Mama Cass because Ifeoma couldn't afford anywhere fancier. He believed in her vision. When investors laughed at her local product, he built her first website for free. When she needed capital to scale, he took a loan against his car. They married in a simple ceremony in their village, under mango trees with gari and stew for guests. No Asoebi drama, just love and promises. Together, they turned Ifeoma Glow into something real. Branches in Abuja, Lagos, even Port Harcourt. Influencers started tagging the brand. Celebrities wore Ifeoma's custom glue kits to red carpets. Emeka handled the tech side, inventory apps, online orders, while Ifeoma focused on the magic, formulations, client consultations, empowering other women to start small. Chidima watched it all from the sidelines. At first, she helped, packing orders, running errands, but envy is a slow poison. Every time a customer praised Ifeoma, Chidima's smile tightened. Every time Emeka called his wife my queen in front of family, Chidima felt smaller. She tried her own thing, a fashion blog, then a failed jewelry line, but nothing stuck. Why does everything work for her and not me? She'd whisper to her mirror at night. Then came the trip. Ifeoma had been invited to speak at a major beauty expo in Dubai. It was her biggest moment yet. Potential international distributors, media interviews, the works. She was gone for 10 days. Emeka stayed behind to manage the Abuja headquarters. Chidima moved in to help with the house, she said. Mama had been complaining about her laziness anyway. Maybe some responsibility would fix her. The first few days were innocent enough. Chidima cooked Emeka's favorite egusi soup, laughed at his jokes, wore Ifeoma's old dresses around the house just to feel pretty. Emeka was tired, long hours, missing his wife. One night, after too much wine and a conversation about how Ifeoma never has time anymore, the line blurred. One mistake became two became a habit. Chidima recorded voice notes, took photos for memories, and soon she had leverage. You think Ifeoma would forgive this? Fund my life, or she finds out. Designer bags from Temple Muse, trips to Banana Island resorts, a new Range Rover she parked boldly in the driveway like it was hers. Emeka paid. Guilt ate him alive, but fear kept him silent. Now, back to that glowing phone at 2:17 a.m. Ifeoma reads the last screenshot again. Chidima typing, "Baby, when she comes back, we need to be careful. But imagine, this house, this business, it could be ours." Ours. The word bonds. Ifeoma doesn't confront anyone, not yet. She closes the chat, deletes the unknown number's trace, and lies back on the pillow that still smells faintly of Emeka's cologne. Her mind races, not with rage, but with cold calculation. She thinks of the late-night strategy sessions with Emeka, how they built everything together. She thinks of the patents on her formulas registered in her own name alone. She thinks of the company accounts she quietly moved access to last year, just in case. She thinks of Chidima's smug text, thinking she had won. But Ifeoma has always been the planner, the one who sees 3 steps ahead. As dawn creeps through the curtains, she whispers to the empty room, "Let her think she has it all. Let her spend, let her gloat. Because the real game, it's only just beginning. And when the dust settles, the empire won't belong to the one who stole a husband. It will belong to the one who built it and protected it with silence." The morning after the screenshots arrived, Ifeoma woke up before the call to prayer echoed across Asokoro. She didn't reach for her phone first, like she usually did, to check overnight sales or read customer reviews. Instead, she walked barefoot to the kitchen, brewed a strong cup of Lipton with 2 spoons of sugar, the way her mother used to make it when life felt too heavy, and sat at the marble island staring at nothing. Emeka came down the stairs 20 minutes later, still in his grey pajamas, rubbing sleep from his eyes. He kissed the top of her head the same way he had every morning for 7 years. "Morning, my love. You're up early. Jet lag still messing with you?" Ifeoma turned slowly, gave him the softest smile she could muster, and said, "Just thinking about the expo, it went better than I imagined." He beamed, proud as always. "I told you, the world isn't ready for Ifeglo. When do the distributors confirm?" "Soon," she replied, sipping her tea. "Very soon." She watched him move around the kitchen, opening the fridge for yogurt, slicing a banana, humming that off-key tune he thought was Burna Boy. Every ordinary action felt like a performance now. She noticed the slight tremble in his hand when he poured the milk. She noticed how he avoided looking directly at her for longer than 2 seconds. And she noticed the new gold bracelet on his wrist. Thin, expensive, the kind Chidinma loved to flaunt on Instagram stories with captions like, "Small gift from someone who knows my taste." Ifeoma said nothing about it. Instead, she asked, "Chidinma called yesterday, said she wants to come over this weekend, something about needing advice on starting her own skincare line." Emeka froze for half a heartbeat, then laughed it off. "Ah, that girl, always jumping from one dream to another. You know how she is. Yes, Ifeoma said quietly. I know exactly how she is. She stood, walked behind him, wrapped her arms around his waist from the back, the way she used to when they were still struggling, and every hug felt like insurance against tomorrow. She pressed her cheek to his shoulder blade and whispered, I missed you. Emeka exhaled, turned and kissed her deeply, guilt disguised as passion. Ifeoma kissed him back, matching every move, every sigh, every whispered, I love you. She let him believe for those few minutes that nothing had changed. But inside her chest, something cold and sharp had taken root. That afternoon, while Emeka was at the office troubleshooting a crashed server, Ifeoma drove herself to the bank. Not the usual branch near the house, the small, discreet one in Wusetu, where she had opened a personal account years ago, back when she still feared one bad business quarter could wipe them out. She sat across from the manager, a soft-spoken woman named Mrs. Adebayo, who remembered her from the days when Ifeoma used to deposit 15,000 naira in cash from weekend pop-up sales. She said, I need to move some funds, quietly. Mrs. Adebayo raised an eyebrow but asked no questions. Ifeoma had always been the type who planned rather than panic. She transferred 60% of the liquid company reserves, not the operating account Emeka monitored daily, but the emergency and expansion fund they had both agreed to keep untouched unless there was mutual consent. She moved it into 3 separate high-yield fixed deposits under her maiden name and a new shell company she had quietly registered 6 months earlier, just in case life ever decided to test her loyalty. Next, she called her lawyer, old Mr. Okiki, the one who had drawn up their prenup. Emeka had insisted, saying, love is sweet, but business is business. She instructed him to begin the process of restructuring ownership documents. Nothing dramatic, just small legal shifts, patents reassigned solely to her maiden name, trademarks transferred, board seats adjusted, all things she could do unilaterally because she had been the sole founder. By evening, she was back home, cooking jollof rice the way Emeka liked it, smoky, spicy, with extra fried plantain on the side. When he walked through the door, tired and smelling faintly of office air freshener, she greeted him with a glass of chilled zobo and that same gentle smile. Chidinma arrived Saturday morning in the new Range Rover, windows down, music loud, Wizkid's latest. She stepped out wearing oversized Gucci sunglasses, a cropped white blazer, and heels that clicked like tiny announcements of victory. She hugged Ifeoma tightly, perfume clouding the air. Sis, you're glowing. Dubai did you good, Abi? Ifeoma laughed lightly. God is good. Come in, let me get you something cold. Inside, Chidinma dropped her designer tote on the couch like she already owned the place. She looked around the living room, new velvet sectional, abstract art on the walls, the 85-inch TV Emeka had surprised Ifeoma with last Christmas, and her lips curved in a satisfied way. So, Chidinma said, crossing her legs, I've been thinking. I want to launch my own brand, something luxury, high-end, not like, street-level stuff. Ifeoma poured her a glass of pineapple juice. That's wonderful. What's the name? Chidi looks, she said proudly. Catchy, right? Very. And the plan? She waved a manicured hand. I have someone who's ready to invest heavily, like very heavily. We're talking packaging from France, influencers on payroll, pop-ups in Ikoyi. I just need a little mentorship from the queen herself. She reached across and squeezed Ifeoma's hand. Sisterly, sweet, poisonous. Ifeoma squeezed back. Of course, anything for my baby sister. Emeka walked in then, carrying grocery bags he'd picked up on his way back from a quick meeting. His eyes flickered between the two women, panic flashing for 1 second before he masked it with a grin. "Chidinma, long time, looking good." Chidinma stood, hugged Emeka longer than necessary, her hand lingering on his back. Brother-in-law, always the gentleman. Ifeoma watched the entire exchange from the kitchen doorway, arms folded, expression unreadable. Later that night, after Chidinma had left, promising to send her business plan soon, Ifeoma sat on the balcony overlooking the city lights. Emeka joined her, carrying 2 glasses of red wine. "You okay?" he asked softly. She took the glass, clinked it against his. "Never better." He studied her face. "You've been quiet since you came back." "Thinking," she said, "about the future, about who really deserves to sit at the table we built." He swallowed. "We built it together, babe." "Yes," Ifeoma said, staring straight ahead. She let the silence stretch until it felt uncomfortable. Then she turned to him, eyes soft but unblinking. "Emeka, if anything ever happened to us, if life tried to tear us apart, would you fight for what we have, or would you let someone else take it because it was easier?" He looked away first. "I would fight," he whispered. "Good," she said, standing up, "because someone already tried." She walked inside, leaving him alone on the balcony with the city lights and the weight of his own choices. Inside her study, Ifeoma opened her laptop. There was a new email from Mr. Okike. "Documents ready for your signature. Everything is in place." She smiled, not the gentle one she gave her husband, not the warm one she gave her sister. This smile was different. This smile belonged to a woman who had just decided that mercy was overrated, and revenge was going to be served cold, slow, and devastatingly legal. 3 weeks passed like a slow poison drip. On the surface, everything looked perfect. Ifeglow's Instagram page hit 1.2 million followers after a celebrity makeup artist posted a glowing review of the new Abuja Sun-Kissed highlighter. Sales spiked 47% in 1 week. Emeka came home every evening with takeout from Jevenique or Chinese spot in Maitama, kissed Ifeoma on the forehead and asked her day like nothing had ever been wrong. Chidinma posted daily. Poolside selfies in Bali. She claimed it was a business scouting trip. Unboxing Hermes bags, captions dripping with "manifesting abundance, #blessed, #self-made." But beneath the filters and the smiles, the house in Asokoro had become a museum of unspoken things. Ifeoma stopped cooking Emeka's favorite meals. Not dramatically. No slammed pots or thrown plates. She just didn't. She'd order food for herself, eat in her study while reviewing formulations, and leave the kitchen untouched. When Emeka asked why, she'd shrug and say, "Been trying to eat lighter. You understand, right?" He'd nod, guilty, and order pizza for himself. She also started locking her study door. She'd never done that before. Emeka noticed the first time he tried to bring her coffee and found the knob wouldn't turn. "Babe," he called through the wood. "Working on something important," she answered sweetly. "Give me 30. He stood there for a full minute, listening to the faint tap-tap of her keyboard before walking away. Chidinma, meanwhile, grew bolder. She began dropping in unannounced, sometimes mid-afternoon, sometimes late evening when she knew Emeka would be home. She'd breeze in wearing outfits that screamed new money, silk slips under oversized blazers, diamond studs that caught the light like accusations. She'd lounge on the couch, scroll through her phone, and casually mention how life is finally treating me right. One Tuesday evening, she arrived with a bottle of vintage Dom Perignon she claimed a friend gifted her. To celebrate, she said, popping the cork with theatrical flair. Ifeoma raised an eyebrow. Celebrate what exactly? Chidinma laughed, too loud. New beginnings, sis. I signed my first big investor. We're launching Chidilock's next month. Private event in Banana Island. You're invited, of course. Front row. Emeka, sitting across from them with a glass he barely touched, shifted uncomfortably. His phone buzzed on the coffee table. He glanced at it, face paling for a split second before he flipped it face down. Ifeoma noticed. She always noticed now. "That's wonderful," she said, clinking her glass against Chidima's. "I'm proud of you, really." Chidima searched her sister's face for jealousy, for pain, for anything. She found only calm, polite, almost bored. "You don't seem surprised," she said, a little edge creeping into her voice. "Why would I be?" Ifeoma replied. "You've always known what you wanted, and you go after it." There was a beat of silence thick enough to choke on. Emeka cleared his throat. "I think I'll check on something in the study." He left the room quickly. Chidima watched him go, then leaned closer to Ifeoma. Her perfume was overpowering, something sweet and expensive that clung like guilt. "You know," she whispered, "some people say you can have it all. The man, the money, the life. I used to think that was just talk, but maybe it's true." Ifeoma met her gaze steadily. "Maybe." Chidima's smile faltered for the first time. She wasn't getting the explosion she'd secretly hoped for. No tears, no shouting, just this quiet, impenetrable wall. Later that night, after Chidima had left in a cloud of exhaust and triumph, Emeka found Ifeoma in the bedroom folding laundry. She didn't look up when he entered. "Babe," he started, voice low, "we need to talk." She kept folding, a towel, a shirt, precise, methodical. "About what?" He stepped closer. "About us, about everything." Ifeoma finally looked at him. Her eyes were dry, clear, terrifyingly calm. "Everything," she repeated softly. "You mean the late-night texts, the hotel receipts you thought deleting would erase, the bracelet you wear like a badge of shame, or maybe the way my sister parks her new car in our driveway like she's marking territory?" Emeka's face drained of color. He opened his mouth, closed it, tried again. I messed up badly. It was one time, okay, more than one, but it meant nothing. She manipulated me. I was weak, I was stupid, but I love you, Ifeoma. Only you." Ifeoma placed the last folded shirt on the pile. Neat, perfect. "You love me," she echoed. "And yet you funded her trips, her bags, her lifestyle. While I was in Dubai pitching our future, you were here choosing her silence over our marriage?" Tears welled in his eyes. "I was scared of losing you, scared of what it would do to the business, to us." Ifeoma walked past him to the dresser, opened the top drawer and pulled out a small envelope she handed him without a word. Inside were printed screenshots, not the ones from the anonymous number, but others. Bank alerts, transfer receipts, Chidima's name next to figures that made Emeka's stomach drop. "She's been taking more than you told her to take," Ifeoma said quietly. "And you've been giving it, from our joint account, from the business line of credit." Emeka sank onto the edge of the bed, head in his hands. "I thought I paid her enough to go away. I thought I could fix it without you knowing." Ifeoma stood over him, arms folded. "You didn't trust me to handle the truth," she said. "That hurts more than the betrayal itself." He looked up, desperate. "Tell me how to make this right, please. I'll cut her off. I'll block her. I'll do whatever you want." Ifeoma tilted her head, studying him like a formulation she was trying to perfect. "I already know what I want." She walked to the wardrobe, pulled out a small suitcase she'd packed earlier that day while he was at work, and set it by the door. "I want space," she continued. "I'm moving into the guest apartment in Wuse for a while, the one above the flagship store. I need to think, to breathe, to decide what, if anything, is worth saving." Emeka stood quickly. "No, please, don't leave. We can fix this. Counseling, time, anything." Ifeoma shook her head. "You don't get to decide the timeline anymore, Emeka. You lost that right the first time you answered her call instead of telling me." She wheeled the suitcase towards the door. He reached for her arm. She stepped back smoothly. "One more thing," she said, pausing in the doorway. "The business restructuring is already in motion. My lawyer will explain the details tomorrow. You'll still have your role, tech director, good salary, benefits, but ownership, control, that stays with the person who built it from a kitchen stove and sheer will." Emeka stared at her, mouth open. You can't just..." "I already did," she said softly. "Good night, Emeka." She left without looking back. Downstairs, the security light clicked on as she stepped into the compound. The driver was waiting, quiet, discreet, one of the few people she still trusted completely. As the car pulled away from the gate, Ifeoma leaned her head against the window and let out the first real breath she'd taken in weeks. Not a sob, not a scream, just a long, steady exhale. Because the mask was finally off. And the real game, the one where she stopped protecting everyone else's feelings and started protecting her own empire, was just beginning. Chidima had no idea what was coming. Emeka had no idea how deep the damage ran. But Ifeoma knew exactly. And for the first time in a long time, she felt something close to peace.